Hello, I'm Debbie Russ with the BBC News. The World Health Organization has declared the outbreak of Ebola in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo a public health emergency of international concern. It's only the fifth time such a designation has been used, and it's been prompted by the discovery of a case this week in the city of Goma, close to the frontier with Rwanda. The head of the WHO, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, said the organization has stopped short of ordering the closure of international borders.
Closing borders could have disastrous consequences for the lives and livelihoods of the people who cross the border every day for trade, education, or to visit relatives. Such restrictions force people to use informal and unmonitored border crossings, increasing the potential for the spread of disease.
General Jens Stoltenberg says the alliance has to prepare for a world in which there are more Russian missiles and in which they pose a greater threat than ever before. Mr. Stoltenberg was speaking to the BBC, as our security correspondent Gordon Carrera explains.
The issue of Russian missile development was extremely serious, Jens Stoltenberg told the BBC, as he called on Moscow to return to compliance with the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Force Treaty ahead of an August 2nd deadline. If they did not, then NATO allies had to prepare to face a world with more missiles deployed in Europe, which were now more dangerous, since they were more mobile, harder to detect, and could reach European cities in a few minutes. Mr. Stoltenberg said NATO would have to respond in a measured and defensive way, but not necessarily by deploying its own missiles.
The US Department of Defense has formally begun the process of suspending and removing Turkey from NATO's F-35 fighter jet program. It follows the delivery to Turkey of a sophisticated Russian anti-aircraft missile system. Washington is concerned that deploying the system with F-35s would allow Russia to glean information about the plane's defences. Ellen Lord is a US Defense Undersecretary.
The US and other F-35 partners are aligned in this decision to suspend Turkey from the program and initiate the process to formally remove Turkey from the program. As President Trump said in his statement, the U.S. still values our strategic partnership with Turkey.
The US House of Representatives has voted to sideline a motion to impeach President Trump. It had been sponsored by the Democrat Al Green, who has twice previously tried to get an impeachment resolution passed and was seeking to capitalise on growing criticism of Mr. Trump's apparently racist tweets against 4 congresswomen. But other Democrats said they did not support the motion. You're listening to the World News from the BBC. The number of fatal drug overdoses in the United States has fallen for the first time in almost 30 years. The Centre for Disease Control and Prevention says overdoses in 2018 dipped below 70,000 from the previous year. Reagan Morris reports.
The number of people who die from drugs overdose in the United States is about 7 times higher than it was a generation ago, a fact many blame on the overprescription of powerful and addictive painkillers. Hundreds of thousands of Americans have died in the opioid epidemic since the 1990s. The decline in deaths comes as dozens of U.S. states sue drug companies for deceptive marketing practices and for allegedly even bribing doctors to prescribe their painkillers. But according to the CDC, the amount of opioids prescribed per person is still about 3 times higher than it was in 1999.
In the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico, there's been a 5th day of demonstrations against the island's governor, Ricardo Rossello. Thousands of people have marched through the streets of the capital San Juan, demanding his resignation following the mass leak of his social media conversations with other Puerto Rican officials. This included criticism of journalists, threats to political opponents, as well as denigrating remarks about women and gay people. Prosecutors in the American state of Massachusetts have dropped sexual assault charges against the actor Kevin Spacey, which he denied. A court document said the complaining witness was unavailable. Kevin Spacey had been accused of assaulting an 18-year-old man at a bar in Nantucket 3 years ago. Human leg bones have been unearthed in the first excavation of the main Allied field hospital used during the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Experts believe they are the remains of limbs amputated by medics at the former Mont Saint-Jean hospital in Belgium. Archaeologists also found musket balls and a cannonball, suggesting there must have been some fighting at the doors of the building. BBC News.